All right, here's our summary video for the cell membrane. We've looked at the biological molecules thus far. Now we want to look at the cell membrane, and we want to look at how the structure of the cell membrane facilitates its function and understand that, again, the chemistry drives the biology here. And so we want to look at some of the unique chemistry of these building blocks and how that helps with the cell membrane. Secondarily, understand the importance of the cell membrane and that life could not exist without a cell membrane. It'd be like eating a bowl of cereal without the bowl. You just have a big mess. We know cells can live without a nucleus, but we can't live without a cell membrane. That's crucial to life. And that cell membrane is the first thing that allows the cell to be able to control its environment and begin to regulate what comes into and out of the cell. So the cell membrane has a couple functions. It helps provide a structure, some shape to the cell. It then begins to regulate what goes into and out of the cell. Our last unit in this course is about homeostasis, but really homeostasis begins here with the cell membrane, as the cell has to control what enters and what leaves its environment for the necessities of its life, whatever that organism might happen to be. So two functions: it provides structure and shape for the cell and regulates the materials in and out of the cell. The cell membrane is actually made up of 4 different building blocks that we've already looked at a little bit. And again, they have their own unique chemistry. The phospholipids, which we looked at earlier, have the unique chemistry of having polar heads, which are attracted to the outside of the environment. That could either be facing outward towards the extracellular environment or inwards towards the intercellular environment of the cell. But those phospholipids with that polar head and the fatty acid tails, which are nonpolar, those fatty acid tails are going to turn inward, face each other, and form what's referred to as the phospholipid bilayer. That provides the essential structure for the cell membrane and is the backbone of our cell membrane. Within that, then we see proteins, and we know proteins can do a number of different functions. They can act as enzymes, surface markers on the cell membrane, but they're really important, and we'll look at tomorrow more closely how they help regulate transport and control of movement into the cell and out of the cell. We'll look at cholesterol and the role cholesterol plays in keeping that cell membrane consistent and fluid-like. We don't want it to get too rigid, we don't want it to get too loose, but we have to maintain the integrity of that, and cholesterol does a great job for that. And then finally, we have carbohydrates. And carbohydrates, I've drawn them into the diagram here that you can see, but carbohydrates are on the outside of the cell membrane, and they give cell-to-cell communication and provide interaction with other cells. We're going to watch a TED Talk in this slideshow that looks at our understanding of these carbohydrates, and through understanding the biochemistry, we can actually understand more about the health of the cell through the carbohydrates that are on the outside. And again, this is an interesting look at how the biochemistry really plays a role in what's going on in the cell. So you can see all these building blocks coming together to establish the environment for the cell. So going through this lesson, hopefully you get the idea, the specific components of the cell membrane, how crucial that cell membrane is to maintaining life. And without that cell membrane, really, we don't have an opportunity to control our environment, and there is no living organisms that exist. And so go through these. It can kind of look complex in some diagrams, but it's just 4 kind of basic components that make up our cell membrane. Before we get into this, we're going to do a bit of review here in the slideshow, and so you can grab a whiteboard and a partner and try to review some of the previous information on the biological molecules we've looked at, and then you can transition to look at the cell membrane specifically. Hope this has been helpful. Good luck.